93 degrees. The official temperature, and as Tim Ryan told you just a minute ago, perhaps you didn't hear it, down on the court, it's up to 115 degrees. So fitness will be a factor. The 49ers defeated Indianapolis 30-24. Those of you who watched that, we're at the stadium at the USTA's National Tennis Center for the finale, the last of the tournament of 1989, the men's final between Boris Becker and Ivan Lendl. Lendl seeded number 1, Becker number 2. It should be a lengthy, tough match.
Including a 33-1 mark on hardcourt. Becker is having his best record.
93 degrees the temperature, humidity 67%, the wind 5-10 miles an hour. Forecast hazy, hot, and humid. And that's not a forecast, that's a fact.
These are going to be very difficult playing conditions because the humidity, it sort of saps you, takes it out of you. And then the gusty wind in the stadium, it swirls around, and it's hard when you toss the ball up to serve, and it's difficult when they hit lobs for you. So it's going to be, they're tough conditions.
Serving really is a key factor, isn't it? Both these guys rely heavily on the serve, particularly Boris Becker. My feeling is that it's going to be first blood, whoever draws first blood on the points, because if they return well, then something, they can get something happening. If they're serving well, that will be prevented from happening. These guys know how to play any kind of short ball, any kind of defensive ball. They'll be jumping on each other right from the start.
Ivan Lendl, as a matter of fact, served 21 aces yesterday in his match against Andre Agassi. He's going to face Boris Becker in the finals today. So the men's final coming right up.
CBS Sports coverage of the United States Open Tennis Championships is sponsored by Infiniti, a new concept in luxury cars. Perrier. Luckily, everything happened just right. It's perfect. It's Perrier. And by Nuprint, the medicine that gives you big pain relief in a little yellow pill, in tablets and caplets.
Getting set for the men's finals of 1989 at the U.S. Open. The National Tennis Center, the stadium, in the middle of this complex in Flushing Meadow, New York. Boris Becker, the number 2 seed, against Ivan Lendl, the number 1 seed. And to update you on what happened on this opening day in the National Football League's 70th season, the Saints shut out the Cowboys 28-0. The Rams beat Atlanta 31-21. Phoenix over Detroit 16-13. The 49ers, in an attempt to defend their world championship, beat Indianapolis 30-24. Tampa Bay over Green Bay 23-21. And the Bears beat Cincinnati at Soldier Field 17-14. Houston in the first quarter leads Minnesota 7-0.
1 minute.
Denver 17, Kansas City nothing. And the Los Angeles Raiders, who knows how long you'll say that, but they have an early lead. Philadelphia 7-0 over Seattle in the first quarter. And we'll keep you up to date on what's going on in those games in progress. But right now, about to begin action, Boris Becker against Ivan Lendl in the men's finals for the championship and the $300,000 that goes with it. And here's how Ivan Lendl got there, Tony.
Yvonne Lendl had an easy round the first round, handled Fitzgerald easily. Courier, nice up-and-coming American. Then he had a real battle with Andrei Chesnikov of the Soviet Union, and he very easily could have lost that match, but to his credit, he won it in 5.
This match will be
crushed Tim Mayotte. Tim said he's just too good for me, too many guns, and then cruised through Andre Agassi, losing the 3rd set, but coming back handily to win it 6-1 in the 4th. He is fit, he's confident, he's ready, and I think that he feels very much at home here.
It's interesting that Lendl had a harder time against the baseliners, Chesnikov and Agassi, than he did. He killed the serve and volleyers like Fitzgerald and Mayotte.
And I think before this tournament, you'd have to have classified Becker as a serve and volleyer, but he's been staying back and hovering around that baseline, Mary.
He beat a serve and volleyer, David Pate, easily, and then struggled, was down 2 match points against Derek Rostagno. A lucky let cord kept him in this tournament. Then he beat Miloslav Mechir. That was a toughie as well. Mechir, a former finalist here from '86. Then Michael Pernfors took him to 4 sets. He had his best match by far against Yannick Noah in the quarterfinals, 3-2 and 2. And then he had a comfortable semifinal shortly against Aaron Krickstein, also in straights.
Someone observed that today in the finals, finally these two guys, Becker and Lendl, are going to get a chance to play somebody their own size.
That's right.
Becker's 6'4" and 185, and Lendl is 6'2" and 170, or 175, maybe a little bit more than that. But both very, very athletic. Becker has won the last 3 meetings, but Lendl leads head-to-head 7-6.
And again, Lendl now in his 8th straight U.S. Open final is the better hardcourt player, I feel.
It ties a record to Bill Tilden, 8 consecutive finals. Boris is the first German to be in the finals since Gottfried von Kram lost in 5 sets to Don Budge back in 1937.
He was a baron of some kind.
Baron, yeah, he was a wonderful player, great sportsman. Here we go, Becker to serve.
A lot depends on how well Becker serves.
Sort of a shaky start there.
Yeah, a couple of balks.
That was supposed to be a lob, topspin lob by Lendl. It was so low, Boris had to bend over to try to smash it. Came so quickly he couldn't get his feet set. Watch, his feet will still be moving here as he's trying to smash. So you can see he was off balance.
Very much so. Thus far, both serves, he's come in behind.
And he's kicked them, too, to get him up high. He hasn't really tried to hit it real hard.
So different from the way he attacked his opponent yesterday, Aaron Krickstein. Opted to stay back from the start. But that kicking, those kicking serves, means that he wants to close the net very quickly. Intercept the Lendl return.
That time he gave him the fastball.
I think we're going to see him mixing it up all day long, either serve and volleying and then spending time staying back as well, giving Lendl a bunch of different looks.
15-30. Well, if it's true, if a lot does depend on how well he serves, he's off to a pretty good start.
He certainly is.
All 4 of his first serves have been good.
That was Bobby Brett, who is Boris Becker's coach and is a stickler for physical fitness. He works Becker very hard.
Of the Harry Hopman school.
In their matches yesterday, Becker only served 46% of his first serves into Krickstein, and Lendl only got 48% in against Agassi. They would like to have a higher percentage than that. today.
The norm for Boris Becker is to serve in the 50 range. For Lendl, it's just slightly higher, really 50 to 55%. This is how these guys do it.
That ball's got to be playing a little bit like a golf ball because it's so hot. They get hard and they can really come at you in a hurry.
Both these guys like that, though. These are two huge power players who love facing power.
You saw Lendl twice in the deuce court was very late on the return of serve.
The most important battle of this match is being waged right here in the first game. Becker's serve and Lendl's return.
Deuce again.
Great point for Ivan Lendl. Becker on the win on behind the second serve. Volley wasn't deep enough, but still an awfully good shot by the #1 seed to get it past Becker. And again, he has break point. Lendl likes to pass down the line on the backhand side. We have that reflection problem again. The sun off the windows of the press box area, and they're running right down the center of the court. They can end up being a problem in the players' eyes.
It was a problem earlier in the week for Jim Craft.
Right. You can see right there in the middle. See, it's on Becker's chest at the moment. Can be distracting.
From our net camera. It gets there pretty quick, doesn't it?
Certainly does. And the bad news also is that they can place it pretty well.
This is the first game, first set of the men's finals. Boris Becker against Ivan Lendl. Lendl seeded #1, Becker #2. First game so far has taken 7 minutes. 8 minutes. Net cam again, that very small camera right under the middle of the net. That could hurt somebody.
So can his acing ability. I mean, that he can really pull that out when he gets out of trouble. When he gets in trouble is something that no other player really owns.
Both these guys are pretty good, aren't they? Because of their skill. They both are hard servers, and they somehow seem to do it when they really need it.
Finally, it's game to Becker. He leads 1-love in the first. Hazy, hot, and very humid. Temperature 93 degrees. That's official, but down court, as it reflects this heat, it's much, much warmer than that.
A little bit lucky in that it's now 20 minutes to 5 here in New York, and it's going to cool down. And it won't be too long before shade starts to come across the court, and with that breeze, that'll help them a great deal.
Year-old Ivan Lendl in his 8th straight final.
Pretty consistent, huh?
Ties the record of the great Bill Tilden. Just wide.
15.
Lendl really tees off on this. It's tremendous power, but just misses it wide. Becker was still on the way in, just about the service line.
It was 15 all. Lendl again goes through that ritual before he serves. Whatever it takes.
Use that sawdust he carries in his pocket, and on court changes, 2 kids come out with big brooms and sweep the forest away. There he goes.
Lendl speaks so openly about the fact that there are so many players in this game who have more native talent than he. Yet no one has ever worked so hard on or off the court than this man. And that explains his success.
30 all.
Diving volley by Becker.
30-40.
Gets him to break point. Again, Lendl likes to go down the line on the backhand. Becker waited on that side and the last minute cut across and intercepted that passing shot. Here he is. He's on the right side of the center line, but still able to get across to pick off the cross-court backhand. So it's break point for Becker. Both these players are better off the backhand volley than they are the forehand volley.
Aren't most players?
Not necessarily the volley, Pat. There are more good backhands in pro tennis than there are good forehands, but a lot of them can be very proficient to volley.
See, Lendl's going an awful lot to Becker's backhand. Again, Becker's got a great power grip off his forehand side and can really handle a high, fast ball. But on the backhand side, he tends to have to chip on this surface. If Lendl were a serve and volleyer, he'd have a good time. But that he's on the baseline all the time, Coach Roach watching, he doesn't take advantage of the fact that Becker chips so much of his return. That's the first from Lendl.
Ian Tiriac, Anthony Quinn enjoying as well. He is serious about this.
This is where you might see Becker try to come in off the return. He made a good play because he hesitated before he came in, and what that said to Lendl was he's not coming. Ivan turns the side, it hit under the backhand, trying to get it fairly deep. He looks up, and there's Becker at the net. He just happened to miss the volley. Here he is. You see, he's not in as close because he made that little hesitation play and sort of faked Ivan out.
It almost looked like he changed his mind. Or maybe it was designed.
Break point for Becker once again. I thought it was interesting that Lendl said yesterday he started out, he's nervous.
You don't hear him say that much, do you?
No, you don't, but it's the kind of match that he expects to win. This one, I don't think he's nervous anymore because he knows he's playing a guy that's certainly capable of beating him, and if he does, it's not a terrible loss.
He explained his third set slump against Agassi that way. He said he was so nervous he used up a lot of energy and felt it by the third set.
See, that glare
Reflection was right in his eyes.
Absolutely.
Becker leads 2 games to 1.
Here you see it right in his face there, and he just hit it just a tad long. Watch him look up now. See there? As the sun moves, of course, that won't be a problem a little bit later. This happens to be there at this time.
No, by the time they serve from this end again, it'll be gone.
At least it'll be at a different angle.
The media and the photographers and the broadcasters from all over the world covering this event. Double fault for Becker. That's his third.
You know, sometimes I think in Boris's effort to get the ball to kick up, he sort of drags through it. He doesn't really pop that wrist like you should, and as a result, he just carries it, hooks it long.
Gabriela Sabatini on the women's side does the same thing.
All the good servers swing just as hard at the second serve as they do the first. They just hit less of the tennis ball. They hit around the edge rather than drive through the back of it.
The follow-through will be a little different.
Depends on which type of serve you're hitting when you're trying to kick it or slice it.
What's unusual about Becker's serve is that he uses a forehand grip. Not too many players can do that. It works pretty well, though.
Third ace.
That's one of the problems when you stand behind the baseline to receive the serve. If a player can break it off sharply enough, it can turn more before you can ever try to intercept it. It was good. Becker acts like it was out. Donald Leconto is the umpire.
He's sticking with the call really well. He tried this a couple of games ago and missed it wide. But I think he made that one.
That was good.
Beautiful.
That was a tougher try than the previous one. And watch Boris. All.
Thank you.
You're going to see lots of hats and fans today.
Boy.
This Becker volley is as tough as the ground stroke winner that Lendl just finished making.
And he wouldn't make that, I don't think, on the forehand side because of his grip. But on the backhand side, he can pull off some beautiful volleys, much like Martina can do. They get under the ball, have better control of it.
Could take care of the heat in another fashion. Yvonne Lendl's parents sitting behind Anthony Quinn.
Martina's parents are here first time at the Open.
Watched Martina and Hanna Mondlikova win the doubles just before this match started in 3 sets over Pam Shriver and Mary Jo Fernandez.
They're the champions.
Our congratulations. It's got to feel a little funny for Martina because she had played with Pam and been so successful. This time they're on opposite sides of the net, and Martina and Hanna prevailed.
Only their second tournament ever together. It was Mary Jo and Pam Shriver's first try. They became partners about 15 minutes before the draw was being made, the deadline.
Missed it.
He missed. And it's 3-love Becker in the first set.
Quiet, please.
Pat Summerall with Tony Trabert and Mary Carrillo. Boris Becker in this men's championship leads 3 games to love in the first set. Becker in a last-minute conversation with the chair umpires. You look at day 1 of the NFL and what happened.
This is Becker's first U.S. Open final. Of course, he's already won Wimbledon 3 times, youngest champion in Wimbledon history when he won in 1985. Was a semifinalist here in '86.
Yvonne Lendl, born in Czechoslovakia, lives now in Greenwich, Connecticut. Been sort of a hometown tournament for him.
He
Ranked
commutes,
number 1. Yeah, he does.
I mentioned it earlier that it's gusty And Lendl missed an overhead the last point of the previous game. There he decided to hit a forehand driving volley, a swinging volley, and missed it. Sometimes when it's gusty, the ball that's not traveling so fast is more difficult to handle than one that's hit real hard. When they asked Becker if he was confident about the tournament and his chance of winning today, he said, you know, when you've won Wimbledon, you're in the finals of Davis Cup, and you're in the finals of US Open, you have to feel pretty good.
I think I can win, he said.
So if that can't get you confident, nothing can.
That's right. They say success breeds success, but that certainly is the ultimate.
And they asked Lendl his chances. He said, if I return his serve, I've got a good chance of winning if I can really return his serve pretty well.
Game
Lendl, his first ace, gets it for him.
Even though Ivan Lendl has never won Wimbledon, Becker has done it 3 times. You still sort of have to consider Lendl to be the player of the decade. He's the only player to win a Grand Prix title every year in this decade. He's won 7 Grand Slam titles. Mats Wilander has done that as well. Just remarkably consistent machine-like performance for 10 solid years. It's interesting that Becker wants to prove he can win something other than Wimbledon, and all Lendl wants to prove is that he can win Wimbledon.
Forehand side.
Yeah, and I really do think that every time you have a choice, when you're going to attempt the passing shot, you ought to try to make the guy hit the forehand. Because he's certainly going to give you some free shots or some free points on that side. That doesn't mean he can't volley on that side. It just means it's not as consistent, as good as it is on the backhand.
When you watch him take a swing, Tony, don't you always assume that he's going to hit it out? Every time every time you see his take back, you think, boy, where is this thing going to fly?
It takes it nice and high, and it's a very full here, right there, that racket way up above his head. And one of the things that you have to worry about when you do have that excessive topspin is you're coming from low to high, and both edges of the racket travel through the fight of the ball. You might catch an edge if you don't watch it very closely.
Which is what just happened. Look out. He's going to get there.
Even that half volley was not that simple. Lendl hustles. A lot of players wouldn't even try to get back here, but he's fit enough and fast enough to know he can, and got there in time to have a choice of shots, though it was not simple.
15-30.
So Lendl's timing on the return of serve starting a little bit better.
Again.
And after you do that a while, Pat, then you can roll it cross court and he won't be close because you've convinced him that's where you're going. Here's another look. Now this is really a sitter for Lendl. You're really eyeball to eyeball, and it's tough to respond when the pace Lendl hits that kind of a shot. So 2 break points now for Ivan. Under pressure, what is Becker able to do? Bang that first serve in. It's marvelous. Still break point.
Becker leads 3-1 first set.
Such a natural big big point player. You know, it just happens. It's like his hair. You know, some guys are born redheads.
He said that. He said some people like to play the easy points, the 40 love points. I like the tough points.
The break. And Becker leads 3-2 in the first set. Ivan Lendl got his service break, but Becker still leads 3-2, but Lendl will be serving. Games in progress. Cleveland over Pittsburgh. Minnesota now has gone in front of Houston. Kansas City on the scoreboard. New England 21. The New York Jets nothing. Second quarter. The Raiders 14, San Diego 7.
Quiet, please.
And the Eagles by 3 over Seattle.
And they're back on serve in the stadium.
Ivan Lendl will serve. The men's at the National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadow, New York. Steffi Graf won the women's championship yesterday. Ivan Lendl against Steffi Graf's countryman Boris Becker.
Boris wants to try to make it a double here for West Germany, as they did at Wimbledon, where he and Steffi won.
I was in West Germany a couple of weeks after Wimbledon for the Davis Cup semifinal in Munich, and the Germans were still so upset, the German fans, because Becker and Graf won Wimbledon, but only a small fraction of the people got to watch it on cable. Stars your country has had in years, you know, sports personalities, and a week after Wimbledon they had a 90-minute program where they collapsed both matches, sandwiched them into those 90 minutes. But on that day of the Wimbledon, that weekend, the Wimbledon weekend, Steffi winning on Saturday, Becker winning on Sunday, thousands of Germans day trip went to other countries to watch.
Those are true fans.
30 all.
Here's a good look at Lendl, who's learning to cover the net better. It's become a little more instinctive for him. That's not an easy shot. The more you go up there, the more comfortable you end up feeling.
That's what's happened when they do go to the net. Becker's been up there 14 times, Lendl 5. He was there, but missed the volley.
3 games up.
3-all in the first set.
Once you get that ball up high to Becker's backhand, he becomes uncomfortable. His strength is low, which is why he's so tough on grass, so tough indoors on carpet.
He had been serving first serve percentage of 61%. That hasn't held up in this game.
30.
4 double faults. Just love 30. Aaron Krickstein with the appropriate hat on. Lost to Becker in the semifinals.
He had a terrific tournament. He's really had to struggle with some injuries, and he's healthy. First year he was able to play in all 4 Grand Slam tournaments. So it's looking good for him. Another good young American to watch.
Lendl wants a towel.
This play right here by Lendl was just to keep him in the point, get the ball down low because he knew Becker was on the way in. Then he had a chance at the passing shot. He was on the run and caught the tape. But when you're that deep in the court, if you try to drive the ball, chances are it's going to stay up and the other guy can make an easy volley on you. So it was a smart play by Lendl. That's the type of thing I think Tony Roach has helped him so much, his coach from Australia. Some of the finesse and touch of the game.
It's 15-30. Two break points for Lendl. Good day for Hatch. You can't see much. And then that one has been used. Still a break point for Lendl. We're going to see a lot of this today. The players going to the towel. I think one of the things the players will do eventually on the changeovers too is to put some cold towels or some ice in the towel on the back of their necks to keep the body temperature down.
and also drink a lot of water. Having a tough time winning points on his second serve.
And here comes one on a break point.
That had to hit on the line.
Looks like that's exactly what happened. From here, Lindell took a long look.
Becker looked over. That doesn't happen too much. Usually the player who's just gotten the call walks away from it.
And he said something
He
too.
did.
And I don't know if he's saying it to Lindell or what. Maybe a bit of a needle. I'm not sure. At any rate, saved 2 break points. Boy, tremendous drop volley by Becker, and it had backspin on it. When it hit the court, it spun toward the net.
Advantage, Becker.
Here it is, and it wants this. I don't know if you can tell, but this one spins when it hits toward the net, and that's what kept Lindell from getting to it.
Quiet, please.
Just ran away from him.
Ventura would like that one. Neil Kenny likes to talk about how those golfers back that ball up on those greens.
Oh, yeah. Becker, 4-3.
Becker leads 4-3.
We'll be back at the U.S. Open after this word from your local station.
Quiet, please.
Back at the National Tennis Center. Those are not participants.
Thank you.
Next Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, it's the season premiere of college football on CBS, featuring the 11th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini against the number 9 ranked Colorado Buffaloes. Live from Boulder, Colorado. Jim Nance and Pat Hayden will be there.
Colorado took care of Colorado State yesterday.
Right.
Pretty handy fashion.
Illinois beat Southern Cal.
15.
So you'll enjoy. Ivan Lendl serving at 3-4 in the first set of the men's final.
Tony Roche, one of the great Australian players, of course, working with Ivan Lendl. Marvelous doubles player. Had elbow problems that shortened his illustrious career.
Terrific stuff there.
30.
And of course, the first Open was in 1968, and the men's winner got $14,000. The women's winner got $6,000, and there was not equal prize money paid to the men and women until 1973, when the winners won $25,000 each, and that was John Newcombe and Margaret Court that particular year.
Now it's $300,000 for men and women.
That's right. Runners up, 150 grand.
30.
There's another look. Just 10 years ago here, and think about it, the winners got 39,000 each.
Game ended.
For all.
4 games on.
New towel. What he really wants is a shower.
Right. You know, this is being televised, this event, to so many countries around the world, including Australia, etc. But I just found out from a friend, John Barrett, who is a commentator for BBC, used to play for Great Britain, that BBC is not carrying any of this. So England is not getting any of the U.S. Open, which is very surprising to me.
Well, why not?
Maybe we should point towards England and talk a little louder for him.
Are they mad?
No, they said, you know, I guess it was the money was an issue, and then when the money came down, they worked out a deal. Then the scheduling was full.
The tournament is not, the event is not without coverage, obviously. Crews from all over the country, all over the world.
Just saw Kurt Nielsen, the fellow that I played in the finals of Wimbledon, doing it for Denmark. Of course, we know we had the Italians on the other day. We had the Australians on.
The Germans, obviously.
Gunnar Bosch doing it for Germany. Used to be Becker's coach. They used up a few rolls of film this 2-week period, too.
Boy.
Brought them to their feet. Here's another look.
30.
Lendl's finished after this shot. He knows he can't get back. Oh, that was the end of a very, very demanding point.
I've always thought one of the things that you don't realize or don't appreciate when you watch tennis on television is how hard the players hit the ball.
Right.
Men and women.
There's Bob Brett, who is now Becker's coach, an Australian. Mentioned earlier, it used to be Gunnar Bosch. They had a little falling out. Becker held this one as long as he could to see which way Lendl was going to cover, and Lendl covered the down the line. At the last minute, he tries to roll it back. Right here, Becker gets there, waits, and then rolls it back. You see where Lendl was, and I'll tell you, that cable and that net is so tight. This ball hits it and carries it all the way across the court. We've had a couple where they've hit the net and bounced over the baseline. You don't see that very often.
4-all in the first set. Becker serving at 30-15.
That's a serve that I think both these players could use more frequently. As hard as they hit it, go straight at the body. You compound the other guy's problem because they have to worry about getting out of the way of it and then still make a stroke.
Game
Game to Becker.
Ball change.
He leads 5-4 in the first.
Becker leads. Clap, please.
The stadium, the scene of the finals, the men's finals of the 1989 U.S. Open.
Thank you.
As seen from the Fuji blimp circling overhead, piloted today by Captain Trevor Hunt. Best seat in the house.
Here's Karen Schultz. It's Boris Becker's girlfriend. She's the coolest. She's a waitress. She's a student as well. Very friendly, funny. I think she's been terrific for Boris. I think she's part of why he's had his best year ever. They met in Germany about a year ago. And as I said, he's had quite a 1989. Won Milan and Philadelphia, and of course Wimbledon. He's won 27 of his last 29 matches. That's May. Of course, Ivan Lendl is having his best season since '86. He's won 7 titles, including the Australian Open. You gotta wonder, really. I mean, if Lendl wins this, I'd say he's definitely #1 on the year, considering how strong the rest of his year has been. But if Becker wins this, he'd have won Wimbledon and the U.S. Open. And even though Lendl is much tougher week to week than anybody else and has many more titles, winning 2 so big as Wimbledon and the Open, boy, it's hard to...
The majors.
Yep.
That's what Ivan Lendl bases his year on now. Sort of like what Jack Nicklaus does in golf. He's had so much success and made a lot of money. They really gear for the major championships. Lendl's even talking about skipping the French next year to prepare for Wimbledon. Trying to win the only Grand Slam singles title that's eluded him to this point. That would be on grass in Wimbledon. Almost out there 1 hour now.
Becker serving at 5-5.
Tell you, Becker's slowed up a little bit at the moment. He doesn't have that spunk in his legs as he did have right here. He just sort of stands there. Saw how quickly Lendl got up to that ball.
He really moves well.
Jan Tiriac, Becker's manager, advisor, says that this is by far the toughest surface for Becker to play on. Says that the guy, he's 6'2", 210 pounds. It's an awful lot of pounding. He's got special orthotics in his shoes to help dampen some of the stress put on them.
Last year he had a foot problem and
lost in the second round.
Then he couldn't play for, as I recall, about 6 weeks worth, letting his feet heal.
It's 15 all.
15-30.
Double fault number 5. And he is having problems with his serve now.
This whole game has looked kind of weary.
Mm-hmm.
It's crunch time, 5-all, 15-30.
Here's where we're used to seeing Becker pump in the big serves.
There's one.
30.
You tell me you saw that ball good? No. You can throw the ball out. He can throw the ball out if he sees it out. I'm just asking how he saw the ball, not if he goes with the machine. I'm asking how he saw the ball. I'm asking how he saw the ball, though.
He's not allowed to overrule cyclones. Not within that range.
Daniel LeConte in the chair.
You are allowed to overrule, and you see it very clearly. It's out. You know that?
You have to go with the machine within that range.
What he's saying is they're using Cyclops, and when the ball is that close to the line, even if the linesman thought the ball might be out, he can't overrule the machine. Here's another look. That's about as inconclusive as you can get, I think. 30-all, 5-all, first set men's final. It's what we expect from these two fellows, something pretty close. Pretty good service percentages, obviously good for Lendl, about average for Becker. Very good forehand volley. Game Becker. He leads 6-5 first set.
Becker leads 6-5.
The men's finals at the National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadow, New York. Lendl and Becker, the number 1 and number 2 seeds. And Becker leads 6-5. Lendl serving, trying to even it. Each one has a break.
Really crucial time, crucial shot to miss there. He just got just what he wanted. He got in nicely, closed in for the high ball, and just missed a volley. And this is the time of the match or the set, you know, you just can't afford to do that.
Has it gone pretty much as you expect, Mary?
Yeah, I think it really is being decided on serve, isn't it? We talk about how tough Becker was last game when he needed to be. Lendl's no slouch in that department either.
You got the two best players in the world, as you figure to be close, hard fought.
That's what you hope for.
Lendl had time here. He knew if he could just make it, he was going to win it. Came back into the court just to make sure, but Becker's approach down the line landed a little short. He couldn't get over to cover the cross court.
It's very hot and humid. When the match began, it was 115 degrees down on the court. So those long points like that are going to take their toll eventually. Tony Roach. Can't bear to look.
Feet didn't work very well that time. Not good footwork by Boris.
Game.
Tie-break.
16 tie.
First player to reach 7 points with at least a 2-point advantage will win this first set. Becker will serve 1 point. Then Lendl will serve 2. Back and forth. The inventor of the tiebreak is standing up behind the court,
Quiet,
waving
please.
his hat, James Van Allen.
Quiet, please.
When it was first invented, he used to wave a red flag.
That is James Van Allen from Newport, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Still gets a kick out of it.
I think it was 1970 when Bill Talbot, who was a director here, used the sudden death the first time. That was a 9-point tiebreak, and the players eventually agreed that it ought to be the 12-point. They had 2 versions, and they've used it ever since. And I think it's a good one.
That time they called it lingering death.
Zero. Becker.
Lendl is actually having more success on points off his second serve than his first serve. 65% on his first serve and 67% on the second serve. That's rare.
But again, I think it's because he kicks that second serve
Gets it
high
up.
to Becker, and Becker doesn't like that.
Becker.
2 for Becker.
Quiet, please.
Smart play by Becker. He floated his return, and when he looked up and saw that that Lendl was not volleying any game, Lendl thought he was back, so he was hitting it high just to get depth.
Quiet, please.
When he looked up, that big redhead was standing all over the net.
3-love. First set tiebreak.
Zero. Becker.
Lendl asking for a towel.
Another one. They'll use a lot of them.
Vaughn's mother. That is Samantha Frankel, Lendl's girlfriend.
Becker.
After this point, players will change ends, play 6 points, then change ends on the court. Not supposed to stop and towel off or anything. They usually grab a swig or grab a quick towel.
Towel, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost always. Makes it 5-1 Becker. It's the first set tiebreak. Becker abided by the rules. He didn't stop.
On a day like this, they're not going to say too much unless you take too much time. Becker tried to come in from fairly deep in the court and hits his ball short. This lands not too far behind the service line, and that's why Lendl had time to set up, pick his direction, and make his shot. On the good approach shots, what you're trying to do is eliminate some of your opponent's possibilities. You get in there hard enough and deep enough where he gets there late and can only go back down the line, then you don't have to worry about the cross court. That's the ideal situation.
Becker's tiebreak record here at the Open. He's serving now at 5-2.
Four-set point
to Becker.
For Becker.
First set, Becker, 7-6.
He wins at 7-6. Hour and 15 minutes it took to play that first set, which was won by Becker. Tie break, and he's up by a set. Miami 10-3 over Buffalo at the half.
Ooh.
Cleveland 30-0 over the Steelers at the half. Minnesota.
Thank you.
Jumped all over Houston after being behind early. New England and the Jets. Patriots up 21-0 third quarter. The Raiders 21-7. The Eagles 17-7 over Seattle at the half. Boris Becker at the U.S. Open men's final won the first set.
Last time these two players played was at Wimbledon earlier this year. Becker won the first set. Lendl came back to win the other two, the next two, and then Becker won the fifth, fourth, and fifth. So a lot of tennis left to be played.
Let's go down now to Leslie Visser.
Thanks, Pat. You know, the players aren't the only people affected by the heat here. The folks at the first aid station reported that 65 people have already stopped by complaining of dizziness and dehydration. The officials here have asked the people during the changeovers to get up and walk around and keep their fluid intake high. Maybe you guys ought to do the same. Pat?
My cable's not long enough. Thank you, Leslie.
A couple of games ago, the PA announcer told the fans to drink fluids and stretch whenever they really wanted to. This whole place got up and stretched.
Here at the Open, when Ivan Lendl loses the first set, his record is 5-6. Becker is 15-2 in this arena when he wins the first set.
Some heavy hitting, really a lot of pace on their shots.
Both big and strong.
I'm trying to think of two other men who hit harder.
Particularly on the forehands.
Yeah, I think this is about as hard hitting as men's tennis gets. Graf and Sabatini hit hardest on the women's side.
Game to Lendl. He wins the first game of the second set. Ivan Lendl has won the first game of the second set. Boris Becker won the first set in a tiebreak. The Saints beat the Cowboys. The Rams over the Falcons.
15.
Becker fires his fifth ace. Cardinals beat Detroit. Roger Craig led the 49ers over the Indianapolis Colts. Tampa Bay on a hot day by Vinny Testaverde beat Green Bay. And the Bears, led by Neil Anderson at 146 yards rushing, beat Cincinnati by 3. Number 6. Game Becker. 1-all, second set. The German duo broadcasting.
On the left is Günter Bosch, who used to coach Becker.
Das Ziel, das jetzt Boris verfolgen müsste, immer dran zu bleiben,
Tell they're very excited.
Europe, we do some TV for. I do some for an Australian network, and we sit next to the Italians. You talk about getting excited. A few unforced errors creeping in here with both players.
No outward signs of fatigue, though.
No. And because the sun is getting lower, it's starting to cool down a little bit. Shouldn't be a factor. Had this match started at noon, it could have been a factor for sure.
When we walked out of the hotel, I thought we had made a mistake and gone to the sauna bath.
Second set.
We'll be back at the U.S. Open after this word from your local station.
2-1.
Flushing Meadow and the National Tennis Center. And the men's final, Boris Becker serving at 1-2 in the second set. He won the first set.
15-8.
The first set between these two has won 9 out of the 13 matches. Becker's won the first set.
15-9.
6 double faults.
Well, you don't often hear fans cheering for Ivan, as we just heard. Somebody told him to break this guy. You know, he's been here so long, and he's such a responsible champion.
He's also always the favorite. So we're notorious. We root for the underdog.
Out.
15-30.
Another thought is they want to see a lot of tennis. They don't want to see a 3-set match.
I don't think there's a doubt they'll see a whole lot more tennis. We're still just in the start of the second set. They've already been out there an hour and a half. And remember, that favors Becker, who loves night matches. Played his best match here at the Open at night, destroying Yannick Noah. Ivan Lendl, who worries so much about seeing the ball, so often after he's had a tough loss or even a close win, he talks about not seeing the ball well. Imagine how much tougher it will be to see this delivery at night.
What a point. They're on their feet. Here comes Lendl. Looks like he's got it easily down the line. Nope. Watch this shot.
15-40.
And Becker weighs about a pound less now. He's left some flesh on the court.
And some perspiration. Without question, the point of the match.
It's now 15-40.
Becker's first knockdown of the bout.
Yeah.
First.
He's got scars on his knees already, Becker, from diving at volleys. You can see right there on his right leg.
Lendl. He breaks Becker and goes up 3-1.
With his favorite direction on the backhand, that's down the line.
He threw his body at that one.
Maybe the previous point took a little bit out of Becker. This is a shot you don't see Lendl making. He's so basic, but he didn't have much choice there. It's one you don't practice a lot. Oh, that hurts.
Well, you'd think a game like that might take the starch out of Becker.
Champion. I was just thinking the same thing. This is how you respond. So you knock me down, you break my serve, I'm going to come right back and get you. That's what makes these guys great and fun to watch.
Got a little trickle of blood coming out of the right side of his leg as a result of that dive.
You ought to like that. You football players will like all that blood, don't you?
Well, those active ones might.
It's okay as long as it's not yours,
Yeah.
huh? That's John Madden stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Bam, look at him bleeding. Oh, that's great.
But
Get
he's
dirty.
up in the booth with me.
Watch here now. He sort of loses his balance and gets stuck too close to the net. And as long a reach as he has, he wasn't able to handle that topspin lob.
You can tell Lendl's doing a lot of thinking out there at this point.
He's trying to work Becker, too. I think physically yank him around some and tire him some.
Right now he's succeeding.
30.
Fourth ace for Ivan Lendl.
Lendl's winning 66% on his first serve and 73% on his second serve. So again, that high kicking ball is creating some problems for the West German.
It's amazing how in just the last couple of minutes, Ivan Lendl has just broken open this second set. Here's a point for him to go up 4-1.
Well, he has that great ability to pick up the level of play, which is what he's done.
The thing is that great move he made, that wonderful point. It's kicked in for him. It's helped him.
4-1. Lendl, second set. The Fuji blimp for help.
Suddenly he feels it over his head. But again, that point, that dramatic point won by Lendl, that's when a point becomes much more than just 1 point. Lendl looks much more eager right now.
Sure does. Becker serving at 1-4 in the second set.
Boris handled that little dink shot from Lendl's backhand well because he closed real quickly, and though he was stretched out, he got at the top of the flight, so it was above the net. A lot of players have the instinct to let the ball come to them. The good ones go to the ball.
30-15.
That's the 7th double by Becker. He served 6 aces. Lendl has 4 aces and 2 doubles. This is not as easy as he makes it look. He's falling backwards. He's maybe 2 yards behind the baseline, and it's a clean winner. Those of us that play this game know that it's a little more difficult than they make it look. Smart play by Lendl.
30-40.
And his break point, the first shot by Lendl, this one sets it up because now Becker volleys defensively, which means he can't hit it as hard coming up over the top of the net, and gave Lendl a better chance to pass him.
He's moving so well.
Again, break point. Lendl is now up 5-1 in the second set.
Lendl leads 5-1.
The men's finals on the stadium court
Quiet, please.
at the National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadow, New York.
You wonder how much that first set took out of Becker. I'm not trying to suggest that he is too tired to continue, but he gave so much in the first set, couldn't get it fired up the second.
And he just sort of loped after that one.
I think this, you know, he would pretty much let this game go, unless he could just hit some winners and exert no energy. And then he would start serving beginning of the set number 3.
He'll try to play these points short this game.
That's why he really didn't go after the other balls. Scratch after it, and chance of getting out of this set. That's the umpire keeping score, and you see he has the stopwatch in his left hand.
30.
I think if Boris gets a swing at a forehand, you'll see him hit one about 800 miles an hour trying to hit a winner.
That's the thing. He's capable of playing short points and winning off of them. That's just what he should do.
First.
Some people here that don't understand the game real well might think he's given up. You know, he's surrendering, and he's not doing that at all.
Conceding this game, Becker gets a start off set 3 serving, and that's what he wants. That's why he's playing this game this way.
Lendl wins the second set.
6-1.
6-1. And sets her 1-all. Turning up the lights. Takes a minute for them to get to their
Quiet, please.
full intensity. Oh, at 12 minutes after 6. Miami still leads Buffalo 17-10.
Third set.
Cleveland 44-0 over Pittsburgh. Vikings over Houston. Denver leading Kansas City. And the Jets have gotten back into the thick of things. Raiders 28-14 over San Diego, and Philadelphia over Seattle 24-7.
Thank you.
Those are the ones still in progress.
Speaking of getting back into things, Ivan Lendl has done that, getting level a set apiece.
Becker's got new balls to serve with. He'll like that. The nice high kicking bounce got Becker so close to the net he was able to make that volley with that kind of touch. You spin a serve that high, it'll bounce, it'll kick up, and it'll give you a fraction of a moment more to close. Great play for doubles. You get a lot of serves in that way too.
And then the other guy, if he wants to counteract it, tries to take it early or step in a little closer and get it on the rise.
Yesterday we watched Andre Agassi off of Lendl's second serve step way back. I asked his coach Nick Bollettieri about that last night, and he said that it had worked in the past. He said Andre just didn't keep it up.
It worked for him last night for a while, and then all of a sudden he stopped doing it. Yeah. To be tough mentally, and you know, I think Becker's feeling the effects of the match to this point a little bit physically, probably a little more than Ivan appears to, but they are determined people. They've worked awfully hard, and it's going to be very tough to turn them off.
Game to Becker. First game, third set goes to Boris Becker.
First game, third set.
Pat Summerall with Mary Carrillo and Tony Trabert. The men's finals. Ivan Lendl against Boris Becker. Sets are 1-all. Becker won the first game of set number 3.
Love 15.
3 double faults for Lendl. Love 15.
First serve. Love 30.
The Italian television broadcast going back to Italy.
Rino Tomasi on the right.
Troppo caldo, poi un'unità addirittura spaventosa. Siamo in crisi come spugni. 0-40, 3 palle break.
So Tomasi, who writes the morning line on the programs every day, he gives you an idea of what he thinks is going to happen. He picked Becker in 4 sets.
3 break points now for Becker.
That being said, Reno Tomasi had picked Noah to beat Becker in the quarterfinal. So you can't trust that guy.
Boy, he follows it closely. He's written a book recently with all the results in tennis, I think, the last 10 years.
It's a must. It's a great, great book.
Becker still has a break point. So Becker gets the break. 2-love in the 3rd set.
When Lendl gets to this one, he had plenty of time, and if he just made it, he was all set because Becker's going the other way. But he cut across the back of the ball and sort of curved. Now here's Becker. He's going to guess. Good job to get back. He guesses. He had to get back to the middle of the court and sort of close that big hole a little bit. And Yvonne couldn't handle it. Big break. Sort of surprised me that I thought Lendl would burst out ahead here. I understand that Becker has asked for a trainer.
Becker certainly looks okay.
He had a couple of weeks before the U.S. Open when he wasn't well at all. He'd had a back problem and it had gone down into his legs. That's the ATP trainer, one of them, Bill Norris. And our guess is that on the next changeover, he'll come out on the court and tend to Becker. As I said, his back problem went down into his legs and he was real pain in his hamstrings. Had to skip a couple of tournaments. He missed that big.
Becker had some groin problems that he had to call Bill Norris out, the trainer, to help him work him out.
Lendl doesn't think the serve was good.
So far, pretty much as you and Mary had thought.
Well, I'm surprised a little bit. I thought Lendl would get off to a quicker start in his 3rd set. Becker looked a little leg weary at the 2nd set. Now Lendl's arguing a little bit with the umpire. Dana Leconto is the umpire.
It's a real honor to be in the chair for a Grand Slam final. And Dana has only been doing this for about 4 years. He thought it would take 10 years before he could ever do something like this, but he's that good. Not a regular, not one of the paid regulars on the tour either.
From Gadsden, Alabama.
He's one of only 3 or 4 Americans that got to call matches at Wimbledon this year. This guy's good. I'll tell you how good he is. A year or 2 ago, John McEnroe, he was calling the service line in a John McEnroe match, and after the match, McEnroe sought him out and said, "You're so good that all I had to worry about was my serve."
Boy, that's a real tribute.
He's a legend. He's a legend. And there was an overrule by Daniel LeConte right there. And I thought it was out as well. I think that was the right call.
She called it good. Just be careful when he's talking all the time with the lines. Just don't let it interrupt you. It's okay once, but be careful.
Becker's asking LeConte not to be intimidated by Lendl, who's questioned a bunch of the lines today. But he's not that kind of chair umpire.
It's 40-30.
That nice high kick off the Becker serve gave Lendl just the angle he needed.
Notice Lendl was inside the baseline, catching it early. It means you catch it higher, a better angle into your opponent's court, and they don't have as much time to get to the net. His 8th ace.
This took place during the court change as Bill Norris came out to attend to.
Quiet, please.
Well, that's not Bill Norris.
That was Bill.
Becker probably having, obviously having some sort of a problem in the upper part of his leg.
He doesn't have as much of a problem out here at the moment because he's got a 3-love lead in his 3rd set. Famous Lendl forehand passing shot on the run. No one does it better than he.
15 love.
Even made Becker applaud.
Now let's go down to Leslie Visser.
Pat, I'm here with Bill Norris. Bill, you've been busy. What was wrong with Boris?
His hip flexor on his left side of the top of his leg got a little strain in it, and he just needed some ice on it. That's basically it. So we put some cryo spray on there, and it seemed to work.
We'll keep an eye on it.
Okay.
Back to you, Pat.
Okay.
Sure sounds like he'd want real short points. You know, if his hips are hurting him, that means it'll hurt him off his pivots. a stab at that one.
40-15.
He had to guess because he was in trouble. Short approach, nothing on it. See, he had to commit very early, veered to the right and left the other part very, very open.
Yeah, but it also makes you wonder, doesn't it, you know, that he might not want to torque and flex if his hips are hurting him.
40-15. That short enough?
Yeah, something like that.
I'm glad that Bill Norris will take another look at that last shot. Becker jumps all over this one. Court is open because he swung it wide with the serve. Bill Norris uses some medical term, hip flexor and all that kind of. Then he said upper leg muscle. That's for us, so we can understand what he's talking about.
The game goes to Lendl. Quick one at that.
Becker has a service break, so if he's hurting a little bit, one way to approach the thing would say, I'm going to work like crazy on my serve,
exactly,
and then gamble like crazy and don't hurt myself or use up any energy on his serve. All he has to do is hold. Say all he has to. I mean, if he can hold 3 more serves, he's in good shape and they win this set. Becker's percentage of serves going down, 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 54, 40, and 38, and Lendl's is going the other way, 58, 61, and 67. So he's got to serve better than that to hold on. And don't just rest assured that Lendl saw the treatment that Becker got on that court change.
Sure.
Got eyes like a hawk. He sees everything that's around, so he knows he's hurting a little bit.
I don't think Lendl's going to make the mistake he made against Michael Chang, though. When Chang was in obvious distress, the French Open round of 16, Lendl had won the first 2 sets. Chang won the third, started cramping in the fourth, really messed up Lendl's head. And instead of trying to put him away, he tried to move the ball around. Chang ended up winning that round, and then, of course, the French Open.
Yeah, Lendl didn't move him around or anything. He just kept hitting the ball back easily to him.
30.
He's got to try to take Becker down. He's got to try to hit hard and just keep blasting away. He doesn't want, you don't want to try to, you know, go into softball tennis, get away from your own game just because your opponent's hurt.
So Becker serving at 30-15. That's long.
And at this point, none of us, including Lendl, knows how hurt, there's a tennis fan, knows how hurt Becker is.
I get it. If it's his upper left thigh, you would think it would hurt him to push to his forehand side, push off that left leg. Maybe Lendl try to make him stretch that way and see what happens.
And Becker, he takes a 4-1 lead. Fourth quarter in Miami. The Dolphins still lead. Cleveland annihilating Pittsburgh. Denver 27-20 now over Kansas City. And the Jets have taken the lead over New England. Raiders over San Diego, and Philadelphia still leads Seattle. Becker leads Lendl. 4-1, third set.
15 love.
That's the type of thing that Lendl wants to see happen. Get in some rallies where he can move Becker around back and forth. It's very tiring, and it hurts when you're on baseline if they make you stop and go back to where you came from.
40.
It would appear he's doing just about what you thought he'd do.
Yeah, stretched him wide there. But again, all Becker's got to do is protect his break. Another wide stretch. Lendl's doing just what he needs to do. But here, this is where Lendl needs a big game. Because Becker's only chance, it seems, at this point is hanging on to serve. If he gives away every other game, he still wins the match. A break here, and Becker's in trouble.
He holds every other game. I mean, if he holds his serve, he's going to run this set out.
Exactly.
That takes you to a tie break in the fourth if that's what happens.
Yeah.
Back in the late 40s, we'd take another look. Watch how Lendl stays down on that ball. A guy named Bob Falkenberg won at Wimbledon in the final against John Bromwich, a great Australian player. He'd win a set, and then he'd just tank a set and not do anything, but never let the other guy hit a ball because he wasn't in great physical shape. He was thin kind of a guy, and Falkenberg won it in 5. So he played to win 3 sets. 15 all.
People don't understand sometimes that that's not tanking, that's tactics.
Sure. If he's got a problem with an upper left thigh, when you go to hit smashes back and left like that, you jump off that left leg. We'll see if we can tell him. He backs up here.
Yeah, that's a pretty careful backup for a guy like Becker.
He actually went off the back leg, which what he had to do that time, which would have been his right leg. But maneuvering to get in position is not easy for him.
15-30. What he really needs.
Becker on the way in. Gets down nicely for it. Just couldn't handle it.
Quiet, please.
back at the U.S. Open after this word from your local station.
Thank you.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes after tennis, of course. And it's Murder, She Wrote, and the CBS Sunday movie, Paradise, Gathering of Guns. It'll all be delayed until we're through here at the U.S. Open. And Mike Wallace. Obviously, he's already got his segment done.
And he's going to be here longer?
Longer than 60 minutes.
Right. Not to get too careful.
Yep.
If you pull your horns in too much, this is what happens. You let the other guy be aggressive. Lendl had a chance to come into the net on a short ball in that point and backed away.
Not only that, but Becker didn't even use that that spray stuff, that coolant on his legs last time, so maybe he's feeling better. Mind games.
Fourth double fault.
And it's love 40. Becker with 3 chances to break back.
Lendl's only lost his serve 12 times in this entire tournament, and 7 of those when he played the Soviet Chesnikov. Had a 5-setter with him, so it's been tough to break his serve. Becker has broken it twice.
Becker's up 5-3 now and has a serve for the 3rd set.
That appeared to be a very nervous game by Lendl. Boy, he didn't stroke the ball well at all.
Quiet, please.
Now we'll see what Becker has trying to serve out this 3rd set. Great Don Budge and his wife Lori enjoying the tennis. First one to win the Grand Slam, 1938. Donated his 1938 Wimbledon trophy to the International Hall of Fame in Newport. It was a very nice gesture. Another legend, Big Jake, Jack Kramer.
And another legend, Bobby Riggs.
Bobby went to Wimbledon first time in 1939, and all he did was win the men's singles, men's doubles, and mixed doubles.
Bet on himself to do it.
He did.
Made himself a lot of money.
He did indeed. Lendl has made him stretch, but he's been able to get there. See how important the first serve is for Becker. Number 8 in the double fault department. Pancho Segura. Tremendous two-handed forehand. One of the most loved guys in tennis. And if you want to talk strategy, talk to the hookador, Pancho.
He knew how to put together a point.
Boy, he sure did. Out here, it gets to tough second serves.
That was a good second serve.
It was indeed, and now Becker is at set point.
Let's see if he can come up with a big one.
He's been having some success kicking the first one in there. Getting it up high. Let's see if Becker plays what would have been an out ball. Tough to tell. He might have flagged one there. He figured he had a good play on it and couldn't get it away.
Deuce. Ian Tiriac.
Pretty quiet in here with 20,000 people in it.
It is right now.
Here's Lendl. Pretty safe play on that high volley, and now he has break point. Trying to stay in his third set.
Ivan's parents looking on. He looked very calm, as he always does.
Nobody handles the heat the way Becker can at net.
You know, that's something that you never used to see in tennis. You never saw tennis players shaking their fist 20 years ago or something. Now everybody does. Gals do it. The guys do it.
It's about as hard as the ball can be hit.
That's the situation on aces, excuse me, Patrick. And it's set point.
Becker's up 2 sets to 1.
6 games to 3.
He wins that set 6-3.
Becker leads 2 sets to 1. Quiet, please.
That lucky old sun sinking over on the other side of Manhattan. As you look at the scores from around the league, boy, Steelers and Minnesota popping Houston. Fourth quarter, New England's gone back in front of the Jets. Raiders 40, San Diego 14. That's a bit of a shock. Philadelphia 24, Seattle 7. Here, Becker leads 2 sets to 1. Lindell serving the first game. The fourth set.
Becker's won 4 of their 5 matches, which have gone 4 sets or more. He's won the last 4 of those. And he leads 2-1 in 5-setters. Just too good.
Love 15.
All you can do is watch stuff like that.
If you can watch it, you can see it.
And then you just say, nice shot, that's way too good. He really hits his back, sorry, Mary, down the line better than just cross court because his hand sort of leads the racket head.
Lindell really has to reestablish his aggressiveness in this game. Becker just continues to dictate the points.
And coming up later, 60 minutes as soon as the tennis is finished. Except on the West Coast, where you'll see that's regular time. Mike Wallace enjoying the tennis, as he always does. Loves to play and loves to watch. Not afraid to ask questions. for the men's championship in the 1989 U.S. Open at the National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadow, New York. Ivan Lendl seeded number 1. Boris Becker, his opponent, seeded number 2. Becker's up 2-1. And he has a break point.
Well, we've talked about it before. The ability to come up with a big shot when you need it, particularly on the serve. Both these players can do it.
That now is a final. Patriots beat the Jets 27-24. Boris Becker,
thank you,
leads in the men's championship final 2-1, and will serve at love 1 in the 4th set. Right now, let's go to Leslie Visser.
Down here with Jan Tiriac. Jan, he's up 2 sets. What will he have to do to win it?
I mean, if he will do what he does in the important 5 minutes of every hour, probably he can win it much easier than that. But it's exactly like always. It's his mentality. I think that exactly when he needs that break, he's going to do it. Of course, I am surprised the way that Ivan plays. I think he plays well. I would definitely play at 2-1, going in almost every time, and not stay passionate the way he stayed in the 2nd set.
What about the effect of him playing on the hard courts, a 210-pound guy throwing himself around?
Well, like at that time, you don't think anymore if you're 210, 110, or whatever it is. You play on emotions. You just have to do whatever you can to make the point, and that's the moment that they are not thinking anymore and they just play on what they have.
Thanks, Jan. Pat?
Sounds like a very simple philosophy. You don't think, you play with what you have.
Also, I like what he said, 5 minutes every hour. He does it the way Jan thinks you should do it in terms of strategy, and then he messes around the rest of the time, and the matches end up being closer than they should, or they might be.
You understood what Tiriac said?
It's cryptic, but you do. He said he's a very wise man.
Well, he understands the game very, very well. And he was a hard worker himself, and he feels sometimes that Boris is a little frivolous. He knows he's young and so forth and enjoying all his successes, but he just figures if you really stick to your P's and Q's a little bit better, he could get the job done more quickly, more often.
That's good.
Lendl takes this one early. That's a hard move for a tennis player, coming in and stretching out to his right like that. Not easy to do and make anything of it. So a couple of break points here for Lendl. Second game of the 4th set. He needs it. He needs to win these next 2 sets if he's going to be the champion for the 4th time.
Lendl leads.
2-love. Fourth set.
Here's a second look. Fairly deep approach, but not a lot of sting on it. And here's the Lendl forehand.
That's what Tiriac was talking about. One of the most impressive things I've ever seen anyone do is Jan Tiriac telling a joke 10 years ago, and everybody got a laugh, and he was asked to repeat it. He speaks 6 or 7 languages. He told the same joke in 4 different languages, one right after another. Got just as big a laugh every time. I don't know too many people who can do that. I think he purposely mangles his English just to stay so funny and interesting.
Probably so you don't recognize how sharp he is. He's a good negotiator. Would you classify these two guys as friends, acquaintances?
I think they're pretty friendly. I think Lendl has an awful lot of respect for Boris Becker. Obviously, the same has to be said, but it's interesting. For years, John McEnroe was never... For years, John McEnroe was never overwhelmingly impressed with Becker. He used to say things like, well, he's just a kid, and what does he know? What does he have to worry about outside of his tennis? But a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking with McEnroe, and Becker had just not only won Wimbledon, but had helped Germany win Davis Cup, and McEnroe could do nothing but admire him and respect him. Say, this guy has really shown me something. Lendl likes anybody who works as hard and is as responsible as Becker is.
Couple of loose points in this game by Lendl. He does have a break serving at 2-love. He's got to keep that thing rolling if he wants to stay in this match.
Becker's ahead 2-1. It's 15-30.
Now it's 2 break points for that young man. Played a little hesitation move on that one, too. He bent down for that short ball, slid under the backhand, and waited, and then came in. I think he surprised Becker. Still break point for Becker. Lendl in the 4th set.
Lendl leads 2-1. Choice.
Navratilova win the first Grand Slam doubles title. Theirs, Lendl ties Tilden's record of 8 straight finals here at the U.S. Open. And 13-year-old Jennifer Capriati won the Junior Girls Championship. Almost directly over the stadium, looking down from the Fuji blimp, piloted by Captain Trevor Hunt today. At a packed grandstand for the men's finals. Boris Becker to serve.
Quiet, please.
Coming off a service break, serving to try to get even in the 4th set.
And the officials, please.
Records in the finals at the U.S. Open. Bill Tilden has the best. 7-3. Connors 5-2. McEnroe 4-1. Lendl 3-4. And Bjorn Borg never could get it done.
Tried on 3 different surfaces 10 times. 11, including the one year he was in the qualifying. Never could win this title. Came close in 76 against Connors. He says, if I can have one match back in my career, I'd take that one back.
I think that's one of the reasons he retired at an early age. He just figured he just wasn't going to win that event.
A couple of times now, Lendl has asked the chair tell people to stop taking flash photography. Again, it's pretty dark out there now. And he notices everything, especially flash bulbs popping. He worries enough about getting a good look at the ball when the sun is down anyway.
But you know, when you get the directions, one of those instant cameras that says this flash is good for 7 feet out in front of you, and they start at row 302. It's not like they're right in front of him.
In the 4th.
Becker is a night man. He's not staying in New York City. He's staying out in Long Island. But he says that on his days off, he's gone into the city. And he says, New York is great for about 3 weeks. Then he's pretty much had enough and needs a rest. He said he's decided to do what Jimmy Connors does at the U.S. Open. Try to enjoy it. Try to love it all. even with all of the aggravations and distractions. The first time he said that's what he's done this year.
Love 15.
His last two U.S. Open finals, Ivan Lendl. 87, 4 hours and 53 minutes. 88, 4:54. 2:55 so far tonight. As soon as the tennis is over, 60 minutes will appear.
Becker becoming more aggressive, came in on a real deep shot there. Puts the smash away. See how he kept his head up nicely for that one. Watched it all the way.
15:30.
This was about 5 of those minutes an hour that Tiriac was talking about, where he becomes more aggressive. Each point means more to him. Two break points now.
Becker applying some pressure now.
What Tiriac says is if you do this when you know you really need it, why don't you do it the rest of the time? It obviously works for you.
Pretty hard to do it all the time. Stay at that level. In the fourth set.
Relive them with a CBS Sports official 1989 U.S. Open highlights video. Call 1-800-453-7300.
Get through all the football scores that we have time for. Saints beat the Cowboys.
Thank you.
Rams over Atlanta. Cardinals over the Lions. San Francisco beat Indianapolis. Tampa Bay by 2 over Green Bay. The Bears beat Cincinnati. Buffalo over Miami. Final score there, 51-0. Becker serving and 3-2. More scores to come.
And again, Becker in a position where if he can hold 3 serves, he's the 1989 champion.
New England beat the Jets. The Raiders beat San Diego, and the Eagles have defeated Seattle. That's the situation here in the men's final of the U.S. Open of 1989. Becker serving 3-2 for in the fourth set. He's up 2-1.
goes down as double fault number 10. Becker thought it was ace number 10.
Close.
No question about that.
30-15.
Looked like Becker hit both sidelines.
Yep, one of them twice.
40-15.
There's one on the line, or so very close. This one on the line.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
We did the WCT in Dallas. Forrest won, and I congratulated him in the presentation, and he said, first of all, let me thank my German fans in German. They had a group there.
Thank you.
Again, he's come to get used to this place, to the atmosphere, to New York and New Yorkers. If he does win this, he'll be the youngest at 21 to win it since 9 years ago when John McEnroe did it at that age. This is not a tournament for teenagers. It takes more than great tennis to win here. It takes 2 weeks of character and discipline and
concentration.
Fitness. There's no place for sissies.
Game to Becker. He leads 4-2. This is the 4th set of the men's final at the National Tennis Center in Flushing Meadow, New York. And Boris Becker leads 4-2 in the 4th.
One more game.
And 2-1. Whoever wins will add his name to this very distinguished list of champions, one of whom is sitting next to me. Mats Wilander.
And it's not me.
It's a guy. Pat Summerall, Tony Trabert, and Mary Carrillo. Yes, sir.
15 left.
Don't count the 3-time champion out either. Ivan Lendl has plenty of will and plenty of courage. He has proven that year after year. And though he's down a break and down 2-1, he's got plans to take this to the limit.
Lendl's career losses at the Open.
Pretty short list.
Yeah.
No bums in that group either.
No.
Tony Roach and girlfriend Samantha in the middle. Lendl's camp.
There's Karen Schultz, Boris Becker's girlfriend.
Lendl's parents looking on.
He's made them proud.
Certainly has.
Many empty seats.
No. The outer courts. Some balls hit as hard as you'll ever see in that point.
Off the forehand of both players. Be just about curtains for Lendl if he can't hold on here. He had 40-15. It's now deuce.
Quiet, please. Thank you. Quiet, please.
Good play by Becker. Didn't get the approach quite deep enough, but boy, that instant pressure can really pay off in this crucial time of the match.
Becker is up 2-1 and leads 4-3 and is serving in the fourth set. That's for the United States Men's Open Championship.
$300,000 to the winner. The loser gets $150,000. It's gas money to get home anyway.
And it would be the first Grand Slam title for Becker that wasn't Wimbledon, which he's won 3 times.
He's serving at 4-2. Just put on a dry shirt. 4-3.
Oh, he's saying just hold my serve twice. I don't care what he does. Boris Becker lost the second set, and he only went to the net 7 times. The other sets where he was won or is leading, he's been in the net a lot more. So the set he chose to stay back and rally, he didn't do so well.
Well, that was his hurt set, too, and he was only serving at 40%. He's up to 60% right now.
Again this year, Unisys computers are supporting scoring and statistic efforts for the U.S. Open.
Lendl did a good job of getting over to set up for this forehand. Still quick enough to get across court. Racket's back. Threads the needle. Again, watch the racket preparation on the run, preparing as he goes. So when he arrives, all he has left to do is pull the trigger, swing at it.
15 all.
See, there was that trouble set for Becker, that second one, when he was down to 40.
That's good serve when you're up around the 60. Of course, the 75 for Lendl in the third set is excellent. Lendl knows time is running out this service game and one more, so if he doesn't break one of these two, he's going to be the runner-up at the U.S. Open for the 5th time.
He's won his 2 on the ad court when Becker has kicked him in on that side. But he hasn't won a point on this deuce side this game, where Lendl tends to flatten him a little more. Where Becker does, sorry. This is the one he needs. It's a flat one. Lendl's hoping here, I'm sure, that Becker high kicks another one to him.
Becker's favorite serve in the ad court is a slider down the center.
Yeah, he likes those. It's really something, isn't it? And it's the battle we discussed right from the start.
He drives forward, though he goes underneath that backhand return sometimes. He drives it forward, doesn't just chop down the back of it, so he's got all spin and no speed. So he does get some pace on that return. The Lendl camp looking very concerned.
He's only winning 39% on his second serves.
Back at deuce. It's 11 double faults for Becker. He's up 2 sets to 1.
This match has always been about who gets to be the first to be the aggressor. When Becker gets the first one in, it's him. As soon as he puts in a second serve, it's Lendl's turn. Still, Becker's had some terrific second serving. That's too good.
In that court, Lendl's been pulling almost all the backhands down the line. Now he has break point. Get him back on serve in this 4th set and keep him alive in this match.
That was a pretty good serve, too.
It was.
If you can make the kind of shot that Lendl just made, it doesn't have to be real good. It's just the opposite direction. A guy's no way to be looking for it.
He just steered it into that court.
Break point.
Something, a great return, dipping, and when Becker volleyed up, Lendl had the shot.
4 games.
Bang!
See how well he stayed down for that shot. He didn't panic.
Quiet, please.
Mechanically, very sound.
And it's level at 4-all in the 4th set.
So many players get yippy at that moment, pull up.
Or peak.
Or peak.
Along the line that on the next court change, we'll give you a station break.
Lendl upset about missing that passing shot because Becker's approach hit on the service line, very short. Should be a sitting duck. But there again, that's where the pressure can pay off for you.
After tennis, next 60 minutes, except in the Mountain and Pacific time zones. That's Don Hewitt, the executive producer of 60 Minutes. It's so long, so successful.
His wife, Marilyn.
This is just sheer power. I'm not sure whether that ball was good or not, but Becker wisely bailed out of there. Takes no chance here. Early preparation. All Lendl had to worry about is don't touch the net. Boris, no thanks. In the pressure situations, I think that's something that Lendl should do more, and that's go in. Make the other guy have to beat you instead of staying back, and you have to produce the winner all the time.
He often does that.
Another guy that does that well is Mats Wilander. He'll rally with you and rally with you. When he gets down at break point, he serves and volleys.
Lendl holds serve. We'll be back at the U.S. Open after this word from your local station. Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the season premiere of college football on CBS Sports, featuring Illinois against Colorado. Live at 2:30 Eastern Time, Jim Nance and Pat Hayden will call the action, and at halftime, join host Greg Gumbel for the season premiere of the College Football Report. All the latest scores and highlights in college football, Saturday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Both those teams won yesterday.
Have to admire the recuperative power of both of these two. Just keep coming back like this.
And to produce. You know, Lendl was down. He produces the shots to break. And here's Becker, just comes up with a terrific volley. Closer than he wanted
first volley. So yeah, and he had to dig it too. He had to hit that up.
Called out. 40.
Wide. And you're not rushing inside at all.
Here's a look. Looked wide, but it's so close. It's so difficult to tell, I think, on these replays. I think Yvonne said something, the umpire there, to sort of cover his tracks. He'd gotten up there looking at it, and they were on him a little.
From Becker.
Tough on family and friends, too.
That guy does not have healthy pink lungs.
almost abandoned.
Sunday punching.
That is some shot.
Quiet, please.
He liked it, too.
First.
Oh, come on. Overruling?
Linesman was onside.
Linesman was unsighted, which means that Becker got in the way of the linesman as he went out to make that shot. So the umpire made the call.
Unsighted.
He didn't see the ball.
The linesman was unsighted. He didn't see it. I called it out. It's wide.
30. Little extra pressure on Dan LeConto, the umpire, with his undecided calls. He has to call. Lendl has the advantage trying to go to 6-5 in the fourth set. Becker leads 2-1.
They're over 3.5 hours now.
Well, he made a pit stop, didn't he?
Yeah.
Got some water, got a towel.
Back to Deuce. And he's got a break point. The National Tennis Center is alive at the moment. For the championship, Ivan Lendl against Boris Becker.
Quiet, please.
Becker said the U.S. Open fans have never seen the real Boris Becker. He wanted to show it to them this year.
He's for real, all right. Going to get a look get a second serve.
It's going to be high on his backhand side. You can pretty much bet on that, unless he runs around it. Boy, that's a clutch would miss there.
The last time these two played in New York, it was at the Masters last year. You see the big wraparound forehand from Becker. That one sails wide. Becker won that match, a remarkable 5-setter. 7-6 in the 5th. And his coach, Bob Brett, considered that a milestone for Becker.
The dribbler, too, hit the top of the net and fell over after a tremendous rally.
This would surely be another milestone if Becker could pull it off.
Fourth set.
The people that came to see this are getting their money's worth.
Lindell leads 6.
This tournament started 2 weeks ago. Yesterday, Steffi Graf won the women's championship. And it's all come down to this right now between Becker and Lindell.
Think what would happen if this match would have started at noon or 1 o'clock and they'd expended this much energy and that tremendous heat and humidity. Been a killer.
When it began, it was 115 degrees on the court. Becker trying to force this to tie break.
Quick hands, as didn't get it as wide as he wanted to, and all that did as a result was open up his court, and Lindell was able to hit the good angle. There's nothing wrong with the tactic. You could just say, I just didn't get it where I wanted it. That ball needs to land a little farther up the sideline so it'll break more sharply.
Again, a big serve when he needed it.
That's the situation. This is his 5th Grand Slam final. Won 3 Wimbledons, lost to Stefan Edberg 2 years ago.
Tiebreak.
That's his 10th ace.
6 games all tiebreak.
Now we get down to a tight situation. The first player to win 7 points with at least a 2-point advantage will be the winner. If it's Becker, he'll be our '89 champion. If it's Lindell, we'll go to the 5th and final set.
The first set went to a tie break, which was won by Becker, 7 points to 2.
Yeah, he got out to a 5-0 lead in that one.
Thank you.
He missed it.
2-0, Lendl.
That's that flat forehand volley we've talked about. He makes a lot of them, but under pressure, some of them get away. Martinez somewhat the same. Roche just can't stand it.
He doesn't look like a fun date sitting next to him in the box during the Lendl match. Lendl's got the first 2 points.
I don't imagine he's got much to say at that stage.
Head-to-head in tie breaks. Becker leads 7-4, including the first set today. 2-1 now, Lendl.
That is the 5th double served in a match by Lendl. He has served 4 aces.
Disgusted with himself right now.
Change ends after 6 points have been played.
Becker's won the last 4.
4-2 Becker. change on tonight's schedule. After tennis, it'll be 60 minutes. No Murder, She Wrote. And then the Sunday movie, A Gathering of Guns, Paradise. 60 minutes will follow the tennis.
Here's a guy that wants to gather the guns right now, Boris Becker. Three tiny little points away from being the '89 Open champion.
I'm not sure how tiny they are.
They're all huge.
Hit the net cord like a rifle crack.
Here comes Lendl.
It was out. Good play by Lendl. 4-3. His lob was good enough that Becker couldn't get a real good piece of it on his smash.
Still 4-3 Becker.
Thank you.
Lendl in this tiebreak has dared Becker to pass. He's taken the net. Bold play for a man who doesn't go to the net with any kind of real instinct.
Remember, the first to 7, the margin of 2, wins the tiebreak.
Quiet, please.
His 11th ace.
6-4 Becker.
And his first match point.
Quiet, please. Thank you. Thank you. Quiet, please.
7-6-1-6-6-3-7-6.
Tremendous serving when he needed it. He was able to call upon that all night long, this man. What a win against one of the toughest returners in the game.
Right now, let's go to Tim Ryan.
All right, Pat, this toughest tournament in tennis coming down to a thriller, a tie-break finish, and you cannot ask for more than that in a men's championship final. Boris Becker, the Wimbledon champion, prevailing here against a three-time champion, Ivan Lendl. And so for all of us who have had the privilege of bringing you this great excitement, we wish you all a very pleasant good evening and look forward to next year's United States Open Tennis Championships. The men's champion